Welcome back to The Short Game. It's a show about short video games, games that respect your time. I'm Raygan Kelly, and I am joined this week by two fantastic co-hosts.
Lauren Ash, I am the boss.
And Shane Kelly. Yeah, you're the boss.
We're here to do our very best, our absolute best that we can, to talk about ENA Dream Barbecue. A new game that's out on Steam that I am worried we are going to do a very bad job explaining, because I don't think this game can be explained. What a strange thing.
When I said the title to my husband, he said, "What are you recording in 5 minutes?" I said, "ENA Dream Barbecue." And he said, "That sounds like a weird game." And I just said, "Yes," and walked into the bedroom to record. So I'm going to be a little bit more descriptive to you, dear listeners, but it's going to, the Wikipedia said, widely described as, quote, surreal. And that's a good starting place.
Extremely accurate.
Yeah, I first heard about this game because, first of all, this is a free game on Steam. Pretty cool. $0. And was hearing folks saying that it was really, well done, good quality. Correct. We'll talk more about that, but really, really well done. But also, this is the most Gen Z humor ass shit that I have ever seen in my life. And it made me feel so old. It's also really funny and interesting. And I did like this thing a lot. But I also felt like an outsider playing this to such a degree. Man, this is a really baffling piece of work on some levels. So I am eager to hear if you guys gleaned anything from this that I didn't, because it's a thing. When I first heard about it, I saw that this was first of all two reasons I was like, let's play this. One is I heard, hey, free game on Steam, and it's an hour and a half. Perfect, awesome, totally good. Thank you. I also saw this is a game with a very large merch selection on Fangamer, which made me think,
Raygan, this is the strangest way that you've chosen a game for the
I know.
short game.
I'd never heard of
choose
I've never
it
heard
based
of this.
on the merch.
What
was there one particular piece of merch that spoke to you, or you really like the hat? You becoming a hat guy? They have a plushie of the polygonal.
There are several
lead.
plushies of ENA in her different incarnations. There are pins. There's a weird 3D dolphin keychain. There's a little standee that has two silhouettes of the characters dancing under a game. None of them. But I saw this and I was like, well,
the
surely,
preponderance of merch.
if there's so much merch for this thing that is both a video game and apparently also a web series, it must have a fan base, and a million idiots on the internet can't be wrong. So let's check this thing out.
So you're like, it must have a fan base, and then you immediately call them idiots. Right? You're really
I'm
unlocking
sorry.
the secret to podcast promotion, calling it Gen Z humor. I don't get this. What are these young idiots doing?
I'm old. I'm turning 40 this year, guys. Please forgive me. I'm doing my best.
This doesn't... this is surreal and this is weird, but it doesn't feel so much weirder than other games we've played. I think this is a pretty bizarre world.
Yeah.
But we have played some weird games, my friends. So the first thing that threw me in this game was that you just start walking down an empty road with a red sky and a floating man's legs above your head. And you're just wandering around, and then eventually you find a bright blue bed, and they say open door. And I was like, buckle up. This game is going to make no sense, and it's not going to hold my hand. And so that's not an unknown feeling on the short game, but it was to an intensity that has not been felt in a couple years for me. So it's not unknown, but it is a sense of this surreality is not in service of a larger theme. It is just weird for weirdness, and you're in it or you're not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I actually do want to talk about themes if we can glean some here, because I think there's some stuff.
Capitalism?
Yeah, I think capitalism is the theme. Late stage, like we are all slaves to the boss kind of capitalism.
But also kill the boss.
Mm-hmm.
If you could figure out who the boss is.
Everyone wants to be the boss.
Great descriptions of
At
this
the top,
game.
Laura said she was the boss, so we're going with that.
I did. And then you said you were the boss. Which is the way this game works, is everyone says they're the boss.
Mm-hmm. So I would describe this as a almost like
Dada?
Yes, but like we're talking all about like themes and stuff. Let's talk about it as a game. This is a first person mostly. It has many animated cutscenes, many strange moments of different perspectives, but primarily a first person puzzle light walking simulator.
Fetch quests.
It's kind of got quests. Like adventure gamey or maybe super pared back first person RPG kind of action.
But I think the primary driver here is that this is a game about delivering incredibly lavish animation and really interesting voice acting, sound effects, music. This is a vibes game. This is a game about experiencing a weird, baffling place full of unnerving, baffling characters that
a lot of those characters are speaking, like they're doing multilingual dialogue things where you'll have tons of the characters just speaking a foreign language. You can only
Japanese,
follow along.
Spanish. I'm pretty sure there was Portuguese. Lots of that, and
French at some point, I think. I don't,
and that is on top of the sort of surrealist playing around that it's doing with lots of video game tropes, but also just kind of memes and kind of bizarre callback humor. Lots of that. I can only talk about it in terms of the structure because I have absolutely no idea about the content. It's too bizarre. Let's talk about main characters. At least ENA.
Yeah.
Who or what? Who or what?
Okay. The ENA wiki says ENA, also spelled backwards ENA.
Listeners, I'm sorry.
Is the titular protagonist in Dream BBQ. This ENA, who has a pale yellow and red body, is the protagonist of the second season of the series. Yes, there is a web series that this is based on / an extension of, but is not required viewing. ENA is a feminine humanoid character. She possesses a dual-colored body, her left side being pale yellow and geometric with shading, and her right side being red and smooth, although her torso is completely red and geometric. Her black hair is styled, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you get the idea.
She's got a bob.
She's a girl made of floating geometric shapes, not always connected to each other. And her personality seems to be incredibly enthusiastic capitalist drone. And she's out here doing fetch quests because she wants to make money.
She wants to do jobs. She just wants to do jobs.
Money is
she
totally
doesn't actually need money.
She wants jobs.
She wants jobs. She wants to be given jobs and do jobs. And that is ENA, and that is you. You actually don't see yourself as ENA until you get out of the first weird world. And then you start talking to people, and ENA kind of emerges and shows up as a character. So,
I like this paragraph. There's a section in the wiki. There's a extensive fan wiki for this. Personality. While ENA's overall personality is currently unknown, some assumptions can be made. But I'm like, this is the main character of this property, and her personality is currently unknown.
You get through this weird opening, and you show up, and you meet this man named that's in a frog suit who speaks Japanese. And then he's like, our job is to kill the boss, but there's too much smoke and I don't like it, so stop the smoke. And go through the lonely door. We'll go through a door and find a genie. And then
it likely introduces that there are doors that are really not doors. Anything could be a door. Whatever.
They look like beds with abs in the beginning. And then there's a actual carving. There's a man attached to the second one. I think doors are just blue. And you go through the blue door, and then suddenly a glitch causes you to say the word bathroom every time you need to find the genie.
Yeah, so you're trying to find a genie, but you can't say genie. You say bathroom instead every time in a glitchy, weird censorship kind of thing. Why? Right. Not sure.
Yeah. So this is not to pass judgment on the plot. I'm just trying to explain why it's so hard to describe the game. Because this is a game where you're wandering around doing fetch quests and trying to find the bathroom.
Okay.
The whole game.
Before we spoil whatever the hell we're talking about.
There's no spoiling this game.
No. It's impossible. It's barely possible to set it out. Yes, to talk about it. Let's talk about just some of the basic structure that this has in common with a lot of games and how well we think it executed it, right? I thought that it has a really lovely UI for looking at your quests and things like that.
Oh, that was so cool.
The menu is really good. It has the list of jobs you've collected. You know, you're collecting you want to catch all the jobs. In a little brochure that you take out. Now, this is part and parcel with this sort of style choice that they have of showing ENA always in 2D animation, right? Including all the hands and things. I would say, this does at least as good a job at that as Despilote did very recently. And you have your little brochure, and you can flip through it, look at all your different jobs, and also your items and things like that. I think I'm underselling it. It has this beautiful hand animated element to it, including animated pictures for all of the different jobs that you're trying to do. I thought it was done really well.
There's so much.
I didn't know what any of those jobs meant. As I was completing them, I didn't know what I was doing.
The jobs are like, there's a weird guy who doesn't want to let you cross a bridge because he's upset that someone with 6 eyes standing on a ruined building nearby is watching him.
Quit staring
at me. And you have to figure out how to stop the watcher from watching him so that he'll let you across the bridge. What is the logic of any of that? It doesn't matter. Spoiler, the secret is mayonnaise. You have to buy some and put it on his eyes to stop him from looking. Perfect.
That quest. So let's talk about that quest area as well, because I spent a great deal of time in that area trying to figure that aspect of the game out. As you might expect in a game that is this surreal, it's kind of hard to figure out what you're supposed to do next. And they give you this gigantic area to wander around that's made up of mostly kind of ruined buildings, weird
pyramids,
polygonal double animals flying through the sky,
a giant little guys, suit of clothes. Weird
I don't want to move off of that too quickly, Shane. That was one of my favorite visuals in the game. These giant floating spheres that have at one end a fairly detailed hippopotamus face, and at the other end a fairly detailed snake head. And there's one point where you come upon a building around. They're floating around in the sky.
Yeah, one of them crash
lands. One of them is eating their building or tearing it apart. The snake head is like ripping pieces off of the building.
He's
so
trying
cool.
to fly away the building, but the snake is eating it. Yeah.
So like that is one of many strange, awesome images in this game. It's just so full of like incredible visuals that like you could sit there and be like, perhaps this has meaning. What could the snake-assed hippopotamus possibly mean?
I think you just let find any meaning in this game at any time. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be glib. I just was like,
that's the right
this
move.
is a game of weird stuff.
like, you're trying to find your way. I guess you got to this area through one of these bed doors that Laura was talking about.
The lonely door.
Yes, the lonely door. And you go in through a big, weird building full of it's the backstage of a theater, but someone has lynched a bunch of Matryoshka dolls. And
Yes.
you're trying to figure out like what frog suit guy wants you to do, but I never really, of course, figured out what anything wanted of me of anything. But then you end up in this big wasteland, and that's where I got fully stuck forever.
Okay, I think the structure here is that this is going to be a multi-part game. This is chapter or part one of a larger thing. I believe they're going to be releasing additional chapters later. So chapter 1 is the lonely door. I think the overall structure of this thing is going to be, once it's larger or more complete, that this red zone where you were with Froggy is a sort of hub world. And you're being sent off on jobs through the various doors. And this lonely door, part 1 or chapter 1, is just one of those. And we're going to have other zones to visit later in these other sections. And I think we're being sent with a job. And the job here was Froggy. I'm analyzing the plot here, guys. Froggy is coughing too much because of the smoke, and we have to find the source of the smoke, and the smoke is somewhere through the lonely door, and we have to go and find the smoke machine and destroy it.
Yeah.
But there are many complications before we can find the smoke machine.
That
because
makes
of
sense.
course the genie / bathroom is there.
Lots of sense. Yes. So you're trying to find the bathroom, and the thing that I ran into here. Yeah, I was talking about all the quests and stuff. You run around and you talk to a million freaks, each of whom is beautifully and lovingly animated in a completely different style. Like, you'll have one who is 2D animated and just like kind of looks like a little paper doll. You'll have another that looks like something out of a 90s like tech demo, like low poly, weird, glitchy guy.
You have whatever the shaman was.
Yes.
Which one was the shaman?
Like a 70s Lord
The
of the
wizard.
Rings.
The wizard. Yeah, there's a full on like airbrush me on the side of a van wizard. Actually, I think he's more of a King's Quest look to him. But
he was like right out of what's it called? Dragon's Lair or something like that.
Yeah, like a coloring book that's your weird uncle would give you.
Yeah, and so there's actually a lot of characters. I think interacting with the characters, running around, meeting everybody, hearing the voice acting, even when it was in Portuguese, all of that is actually really super entertaining. It's when I started bumping up against trying to figure out how to progress. I'll just tell you the experience that I had. I don't know if this is what's intended. If it is, I think it's kind of funny. But I was able to collect like a zillion jobs at that point. I walked around, I talked to everybody. I got a zillion jobs. Now, I listened carefully to what they were saying. I reread the little clipping in my pamphlet. I wasn't able to figure out how to complete any of these jobs.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Except for one. One of the jobs, which seems like the most side questy, also ran BS, the kind of stuff that I will skip in every video game. I'm on record for a decade of being a collectible hater in this podcast. And so I was like, I gotta find something to do. Well, surely I'll find my way out of here sometime soon. Oh, well, here's one of those little weird pets. Okay, I guess I'll pick it up. God, I can't progress on any of these quests. Oh, well, here's another one of those weird little pets.
Yeah, to explain that quest that Shane is referencing, you talk to a strange wooden dowel horse.
Yeah,
and he says that he's missing his 6 pets / 4 pets / breakfast.
Yes,
and
or meals, because they're named breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I think snack.
That's what it was. And you have to follow blood trails to find these grub creatures that
Little
are his
grotesque weirdos.
Actually kind of cute.
Yeah.
So
Marketable
here's the
plushie?
secret, Shane. They gated the quest so that the pet one unlocks all the other stuff.
Yeah.
So
What
they designed the
actual
game.
fuck?
So the 4 pet fetch quest
Okay.
is actually the quest
That's the
then
most
gates all
important
the
thing.
other.
That is
got-
the main quest. That is the critical
It is
path.
the first step in the quest progression is to do the thing that
Listeners,
seems like a collectible.
The circles that I
side
walked
quest.
in this game for literal hours.
No. This game
with
took me an hour and a
3
half.
No, you've like
I had
over,
3
no,
out of
Shane
4
has,
of these
Shane has
stupid
3
things.
hours on the gameplay.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yes.
No, he seriously does.
I took my time going back and talking to everybody, re-talking to everybody, going through the maze multiple times, getting lost in. Did you get lost in the maze? Because I got lost in the maze a lot. I was like, maybe if I stay
followed the
left,
red.
maybe if I
I
stay
followed the blood trail in the maze. The blood trail
Yeah.
led you right through the maze.
But
Yeah.
you had to know that that's why you were in the maze to follow the blood trail.
Yeah, so I wasted so much time in this game before I found the 4th little guy. And then it was time to record a podcast. So here we are.
So here are the things where I got stuck. Of course.
I should
my
say,
brain.
I went online. I tried to find hints. I really did. I didn't want to
yeah.
just watch a video. But the community for this one, they're all about the vibes, and they are not about the game FAQs.
Yes, there are walkthrough videos, but they're
There is an
So what
acceptable
I
guide
actually
right
needed
on
to
the
do-
Steam community guide section that I found kind of helpful when I lost the
that I
plot
saw.
halfway through.
So 2 minutes into the game, I'm wandering around the Red Wasteland, and I don't know what to do. And I find out. So I actually opened up a game guide and was like, "Oh, I'm supposed to go up to this mattress and press E." And I think on my version of the game, the tooltip was not on. So I was just wandering up to this mattress, and nothing was happening. And then I was just walking around it, hoping it would tell me what button to press. Went into the settings, changed that setting. While I was at it, added backups for the keyboard so I don't have to do my trackpad. And then I was fine. But then the second thing, this is just Laura's perpetual problem with first-person things. Please, for the love of God, make a really forgiving staircase. Do not make the size of the visual staircase the size of the landing area for the staircase. If I must climb a staircase, if I must jump from object to object, please be forgiving, because I'm going to fall in the pit, because I cannot do the movement in the 3D space to the accuracy that you like. So this is why it took me 2 hours to pass the first level in Psychonauts when I was playing it, because I couldn't jump up the platform steps like I could do. So this game, weirdly, I was fine with all the puzzles. I was just later on there is a move up and move up and move up, and I would move up literally 7 levels, and then I would fall down 7 levels. And I was like, this is my Sisyphus machine. Eventually,
Oh God.
Turns into getting over it.
Well, eventually I was like, I do feel like I'm playing getting over it. I was like, okay, Laura, take a breath. And I put a podcast about Jane Austen on, and I was like, you're just going to keep doing this level until you can pass it. So I had no problems with the puzzles, because I guess my brain works in it clicks into the weird surrealist puzzle adventure game thing very fast. For me, it was all about the execution. And this is not a dig on how polished this game is. It's so polished. It's just a usability problem. And it happens in almost every weird game, is that weird games shouldn't be hard. I think weird games should be the easiest games in the world to play, because that's not the point.
I do know what you're talking about, Laura. That section towards the end did require some actual careful 3D jumps, and those are never all that fun. I don't think I had quite the trouble you did with it. I think I did fall once or twice before I made it through. But that did
This
feel
was
a little
always
weird.
a problem for me, but I didn't expect it in this game.
That said, I loved the visuals of that section, because
Oh,
you
it was
have this
cool.
severed head that you have to occasionally plant in special holes, and out of it grows a guy who then gets
Becomes a
Junji
Stretch
Ito'd
Armstrong map.
into a staircase. It's it's awful and great every time. So,
but then he times out, so you have to quickly move up the staircase without doing anything dumb, and then often from there jump. And so I think like it was just the little things like there's an area where the stage is spinning and you're being pushed by the wind and you're supposed to plant the thing and jump in a straight line. And I was like, why is this game trying to be hard all of a sudden? It wasn't hard. It was just trying to be dexterous. And I was like, why is this happening? This is a fun, dumb, weird, surreal game. I did not need to get good for this game. Like I shouldn't have like
yeah,
I've been honestly
it is a
playing
short
this game with a few
sequence.
drinks.
Like this is a game that like an hour and a half long. Like you're not going to spend more than 20 minutes.
I was drinking a whiskey while I was playing this because I was like, let's get on this game's level. And then I was like,
I'll be honest,
no,
so was I, and that's
coordination.
probably why it took me so long to give up wandering around the first area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was just funny that it suddenly turned into an actual coordination game. And I was like, oh no, that's tomorrow's problem. I'm exaggerating for effect. I wasn't that bad, but I did fall an awful lot to the point that I like, again, had to calm down and take a break.
Yeah.
And I just beg you, if you do a weird game, fake your hit areas, please.
Yeah.
For me. Just for me.
Give Anna a double jump, you cowards.
Yes, please. That would have saved the whole game. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding.
Let's see. What else is there to say about Anna? Man, it's just such a strange experience. But like, this is like, first of all, like, goddamn, free and absolutely so goddamn lush, like so incredible looking constantly, and all of the animation was so incredible. What are they doing, man? Like, what? Like, this is just one guy's like passion project, or like. I mean, I guess maybe they're making some money on the plushies or whatever. Like, what is going on with this thing? I just wish I understood, like, how this came to be better.
A huge amount of artistic effort has gone into this, and it's free.
I mean, this
and
like huge 90s throwback
Now Raygan's
vibe.
telling me that they're making their money on pins and marketable plushies. And I
but
don't
this
know,
isn't like
it
isn't like Undertale or something where there's going to be like a horny fan base for like Goat Mom or something. Like this is angular.
I don't know, man. When I tried to
capitalist.
find a game FAQ,
Weird,
people were being a little weird about ENA on the internet. Just not fully over the line, but a little weird.
Okay. Well, listener, if you're weird about ENA, please explain. I would like to know more.
The whole game is weird. I don't
weird.
know what to make of it.
There's a second route that none of us
might
did.
Have broken me, Raygan. This might be time for us to wrap up the podcast, because if we failed to explain this game to our loyal listeners, then how dare we
ourselves?
How dare we plug the Patreon at the end of this?
You don't judge an English teacher if they can explain Ulysses to a fifth grader. Like, this is an impossible task. I think we did okay. We at least communicated the vibe. We said we confessed our shortcomings to an absurd amount.
We're all old, man. The more I do this show...
That's the thing. I don't think this feels particularly young. I think it feels like a 90s throwback, which is in right now.
No, I mean, 90s throwback stuff is very in right now, but it's not amongst people who were alive in the 90s. It is in amongst people who have absolutely no fucking clue what they're talking about. And like that is the 90s throwbackiness of this is like all meme. It's no nostalgia. It is 100% meme.
It's MS Paint nostalgia.
No, I mean, this is not a nostalgia play. I don't think in the slightest. This is like
no.
This is going for aesthetic. And
y'all remember how happy the 90s were?
Were they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you were a child, Shane. You were a child.
The whole nation was happy. It was the last time.
The last good everything was when you were 14 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when it all.
I'm sorry that all the Gen Zers that make games like this got to miss out on the last time that our country was whole and happy.
We all held hands across America. We sang beautiful songs.
I will give one more an actual piece of thing I think they could fix for the next version, which is please add manual save states.
Yeah.
Because it is branching paths. You can skip achievements if you go too fast on the main quest line. And if you get mad because you're falling down the staircase and want to quit, it kept telling me it had been 24 minutes since my last save point, and I didn't know when that was. So I was terrified to quit the game for fear I'd have to go all the way back to the bottom of this tower I'd been slowly climbing. So that's just if anyone's listening to... I don't think anyone who makes this game is going to listen this deep into the podcast where we were like, what is this game about? But if you are, manual save states, please.
I don't know if I have anything else to say about this game that I haven't already said, apart from continuing to reiterate, man, this looked incredible. Like, constantly looked fantastic. Stylish. The animation continued to just, like, surprise every moment. The ending of this chapter was jaw-dropping with the when you find... I mean, not spoiling, but, like, we've been trying to get to the bathroom / genie the entire time. Wow. Like, the sound design of it.
It's a good payoff.
It's a good payoff. Just great stuff. And again, hour and a half. If you're sitting here thinking like, do I really need to play an entire game that's based entirely on Gen Z memes that I will not understand? The fact is that you could do it in an hour and a half and you'll know, and maybe feel all the richer for your $0 experience. I played this.
You could fail to do it in a little more than an hour and a half, and have yourself a great time anyway.
I feel very superior to you right now, Shane.
Look up. You're probably better at finding hints online than I am.
Adventure games are not your genre, and then like when I play a shooter game and I'm inept, I'm like, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay. Well, you don't like an adventure game, and that's...
Yeah.
I'm not wild about an adventure game, and when I do get through adventure games, it's because I, that game has a great hint system and a great quest has a nice big fat glowing quest marker that tells me where to go next. And this game is not that one.
No, it will not hold your hand.
Yeah.
I think it's time for some what's making us happy this week.
All right.
Listeners, you can find this game on Steam for $0. I recommend you do that. It's called ENA, E-N-A, Dream Barbecue. I believe the title is a reference to LSD Dream Emulator, a whole different thing. Go check out ENA Dream Barbecue on Steam. It played great on my Steam Deck. I played it almost entirely on there. It'll probably play on a potato if you try. $0. Incredible looking thing. It will only baffle and confuse and maybe even infuriate you if you're Shane, but it's worth it anyway because this thing is so strange. Then go buy the plushie, I guess, if that's your vibe.
Play this game in front of your roommates and refuse to explain it. Get angry if they ask you to. That's my recommendation.
That sounds like a solid approach. Shane, what's making you happy this week?
The thing that's making me happy is, well, first off, this is the start of summer vacation. And so, kids out of school. Everybody gets excited for that, except for us parents. And but a little less traffic on the roads, look at the bright side. But what is really making me happy is what my kiddo asked me to do as like a project between the two of us for summer break. So he is really into D&D, mainly because he has dug through all my old D&D minis, right? And he wants to make his own mini. He has dreamed up a Dungeons and Dragons character that if no one has ever invented a character like this. He wants to create a weird four-legged tree creature with wings. That's what he wants to have as his idea. He's drawn millions of pictures of this character.
I've heard a lot about
why
this
don't they
character
have
over
Dungeons
the
and
years.
Dragon characters? Why don't they have like druid four-legged butterfly wing guys as a D&D mini that you can buy, Dad? I don't know, son, because I guess nobody ever thought of it before. And so he talked me into buying a 3D printer, and together we're learning 3D modeling in order to make our own little guys, right? And we've succeeded at a couple of things so far. I will say I did a little bit of research. I got a cheap, easy 3D printer called the Bamboo A1 Mini. Very easy to use. Some test prints came off it perfectly. This thing was plug and play. 1,000 times better than the last 3D printer I owned, which I got rid of because I hated the smell. And then the software, because, I'm not even going to be able to find a download for someone's model of the kind of tree creature that my son is demanding. Sure. We've been learning together an app called Nomad Sculpt. And Nomad Sculpt is, when I opened it up, I was like, oh no, I've bitten off way more than I can chew here. It has 1 billion buttons. It's an iPad app. I've seen people online using it to make like figurines and stuff, and that's exactly what I need to do. So download this app. And it is kind of fiendishly complicated, but basically what you do is you grab these like primitive shapes like cylinders and pyramids and rectangles and stuff like that, and you can arrange them however you want, little 3D stage, and then you can use tools that kind of treat them like clay and like push them in, pull them out, squish them. And I'm finding it surprisingly like easy to pick up. I have like a little bit of like, and it's just a lot of fun to do with my kid. He's like making weird glitchy messes, and we're like trying to print them out. I don't have any of the prints here to show the people who are watching the YouTube version of this, but maybe next time I will. I have on the printer over there paused right now, halfway through a print, is my version 2 plant creature guy. We did a whole series while I was learning, while we were both learning the app. I did a whole series of little slime guys, because he was like, well, we need slime minis, right? We need like little,
and that's
and
what
they're
it's
easy,
try,
little blobby guys, draw some eyes on there, great. And they came out great. We're figuring out how to paint these things, although now I'm eyeing the different colored filaments. This printer can print with 4 colors of filament. Ooh. If you want to. And you can like separate out parts of the model to do in different colors. So far, I'm pretty impressed. I had it's also the Bamboo printer. If you're not doing your own modeling, which is the biggest learning curve of the entire process, and then the slicer and all of this stuff. If you're not making your own models, this Bamboo printer has a phone app that you just browse through the phone app. Yeah. And see and they have a whole library of high quality models that you can just tap to print, and all kinds of stuff. Some of the models have a lot of like they're like parametric models where you can adjust. So like you can say, I want to make a cup. Not just saying I want to make a cup. I can say I want to make a cup with these exact dimensions, right? Or a drawer organizer. For this exact size drawer. So I'm still messing around with some of that stuff kind of early on with all of it, having a lot of fun. I also kind of sidebar, since I was getting into like how do I make a 3D thing on my iPad that I can send to my printer. We've covered the Apple Design Awards a couple of times, many times I guess, on this show. Yeah. And we usually go just for the games. It just came out a little while ago. I have not even looked at any of the games that were on there, but I did see that there was a 3D art app on the Apple Design Awards. Unfortunately, this one is not the kind. This is called Feather. It is not the kind that you can use to make a printable 3D model. It's more like painting in 3-dimensional space and creating scenes with like a digital paintbrush. So ultimately, everything's kind of 2-dimensional and not something you can print. But it took me a while to figure that out. And in the process, I learned Feather, and it's also really cool. So, awesome. If you're trying to just create a 3D VR or AR scene, that's a really neat app to pick up because it's really easy, really, really straightforward to do. If you have any like drawing skills at all. Anyway, so that's what I'm up to. Bunch of goofing around on the iPad, bunch of printing stuff out.
If you're not lucky enough to be Shane and have a 3D printer, I will say that I know at least the Washington, D.C. and Chicago have 3D printers at their library that you can use. So there's a lot of library maker spaces that you might want to check out. If you play with the app, and then it's easier to find someplace to print it than it is to learn the app.
This is also true in Houston. Yeah, the learning curve is the barrier to entry. Yeah. I don't know if...
Don't buy the printer first unless you need an incentive to learn the app.
Yeah, well, you don't have to buy the printer, but I wanted to get the printer because
it must be so much fun to watch
the
it go.
appetite that kids have for getting little crappy plastic toys, I think, is not fully understood by most childless adults.
Yeah.
I don't know, Raygan, if this is as true for your kids. It's true for all three. It's very true for mine. They have a bottomless appetite for getting little plastic cheap toys.
There is no limit for how many little guys they would love to have. Having a little guy, like that's very exciting.
Yeah. So,
and I love a little guy too.
Factory.
I'm 39. I love a little guy, so I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I can share a mine pretty quickly, which is that I'm in the process. First of all, my thing that's really making me happy right now is tomorrow I'm headed to the beach. I'm going to be there for 4 days, just going down to Galveston. Sayonara. I'll catch up with you guys when I'm back, so this episode might be a little bit late. But my other thing that is interrupted, my project interrupted, is that I'm in the process of building a new network-attached storage server.
This thing is so cool.
This is I'm very excited about this.
Large construction project.
Yes. It's one of those things where, like, it started with the problem of I have a Synology. It started with the problem of I'm out of space on my Synology all of a sudden. How can I make a little bit more space? And then, I guess I could clear off some space, but it'd really be great if I could upgrade some drives.
This is like your second or third Synology too, right?
No, this is just gonna be my second NAS. My Synology was my first NAS. Before that, I just had a Mac Mini with a bunch of hard drives hanging off of it.
That's true. Well,
but yeah, it all rolls downhill until it becomes like a massive project that I'm spending too much money on, but I'm very excited about. So, long and short of it is, I just pushed myself slowly up the ramp of this stuff until I have gotten a massive Johnsbow N5 NAS case, which fits a full ATX desktop PC motherboard and can fit full-size coolers, full-size graphics cards, which might be a thing I might equip to it later, and 12 full-size drive bays that are hot swappable if you want up to 12 3.5-inch hard drives, plus space for additional hard drives if you want a few smaller ones like 2.5s. Plus I have three slots for M.2s. So just an obscene
amount of storage.
What you gonna put on those M.2s? Caching, baby. Caching. And so I bought some. I started with just 3, modest. Apparently there's found out about, as part of all this, a place called serverpartsdeals.com where you can get lightly used server hard drives for nothing. And if you're doing a redundant array of hard drives where, like, you are expecting, you're going to have data striped across drives, or in a pool where you've got redundancy in case a drive fails, I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm like, okay, I will spend $250 a drive instead of $400 a drive and get a lightly used server hard drive.
Like, how lightly used are we talking here? Like, what's the
unclear?
These things are rated.
It's factory recertified. I don't know what that means in terms of
server drives have like they're rated for a particular MTBF, I think, mean time before failure, right?
Yeah.
And like, if these things are all like right there, is that going to come back to bite you? Let's see.
I think it's going to be okay. Lots of people on the data hoarder subreddit, which, let me tell you, is a haunt of mine, seem to think these are a good deal and a reasonable thing to buy. We'll see. But it's also like I have I have like a closet full of old random 8 to 16 terabyte hard drives that are just currently sitting fallow. So part of my plan here was like take all the hard drives that I have that are not currently actively in use, chuck them in this thing, plus some nice big drives to be my, parity and main, big drives. And I'm just very excited about it. And this also,
how everybody has just a bunch of empty multi-terabyte hard drives just sitting not plugged into anything in their closet.
We all do.
A great way to take care of that problem.
Mm-hmm. I'm very deep into the like self-hosting thing. Over the last few years, I've really gotten into like if there's a service or something where like I have data and I want to do something with it, and you have the choice of like I could subscribe to an online service, put my data on it, and pay them $7 to $25 a month, whatever it might be, or I could learn about open source free software that does some approximation of the same thing that I can run and maintain locally myself. I'm trying whenever possible to do that. And that's been really enjoyable as a sort of hobby in and of itself. And also like, I don't know if it's actually saving me money because I just spent way too much money on this goddamn server, but it's definitely...
but it's fun.
It's fun, and it just makes me feel like I have control over these things in my life where sometimes you feel like you don't have control. Running a Plex server, running a server to manage my books and my audiobooks and my comic books, running servers to run my smart home automation stuff, running servers for all the sorts of things that you do with self-hosted servers. I have a lot of fun with that. So that's what I'm working on. That's currently right above my shoulder right here. Giant John's Bow case. I'll stop talking about it because I'm sure it's very tedious now. Laura, what's making you happy?
So I'm going to do...
Not tedious at all, Raygan. I'm enthralled, and I am a direct beneficiary of occasionally Raygan's massive piles of data. He'll just randomly let me know that, you need a copy of the films of the 1940s? Yeah, of course I've got that. I've got a complete archive. I'm training an AI on it.
Oh, you want every GameCube game? Don't worry, bro. I got you.
I was going to say, maybe I have a better collection of films in the 1940s, which
Laura
is
has
actually
more of
what making me happy is. So I was going to go with a more accessible one, which is I've been watching... adult animation on Saturday mornings and calling it Saturday morning cartoons. So rather than watching our Harley Quinns, our My Adventures of Superman, our Lazarus,
I'm watching My Adventures of Superman right now, by the way. That's pretty good.
Yeah, like we're watching 2 or 3 of them on Saturday mornings with our bagels and calling it Saturday morning cartoons to feel like a ritual, right? Which has been super fun. But since you mentioned 40s movies, I have to get Flurry on my bullshit and recommend a movie from 1945. So there's this movie called The Clock, starring Judy Garland, not a musical. And it showed up on a podcast I listened to called Screen Drafts at number 3 on the Judy Garland draft. So below Wizard of Oz and Meet Me in St. Louis, like super pantheon, some of the best movies. I was like, okay. Must be a pretty good movie. Forgot about it. Then they did a director draft of Vincenzo Minnelli, who did so many musicals and so many big, important Hollywood movies. Shows up at number 2 below St. Louis. And everyone is like, this is a movie no one's heard of. And we watched it and it was like, we love this movie. Like everyone was like, we hadn't watched it before this draft. We watched it for this event. Holy shit, The Clock is great. So I put this on the list to watch. We keep a list of running movies we're going to watch. And it sat there for months and months because, quite frankly, my husband was pretty sure it was going to be bad. We watch it and we both were like, why is people constantly not talking about this movie? So it's a movie. It's one of those like over one night. It's like over 48 hours, very much like before sunset or before sunrise. A sailor, or a soldier, about to get shipped out, has 48 hours of leave in New York City before he gets shipped to London. And he has a wonderful time in Penn Station. You get a replica of the old Penn Station, and he doesn't know how escalators work, and he is just very charmed by the thought of escalators. Trips Judy Garland, and her heel falls off. And then they just keep saying yes to spending more time together. Like, there's so many reasons they can get off this train. So many times that they can just stop continuing to see each other. And it is very grounded. They avoid a lot of cliches. Every character that they meet is adorable. There's like a milkman at some scene. They go into an all-night diner, and there's just like the drunk who will not shut up, and the entire diner is ignoring them because it's New York City. And there's just a weird woman eating in the hat who's just eating her food the whole time the drunk is going on. And I was like, this is wonderful. I was like, Scorsese ripped this off in After Hours. I was like, he's seen this movie. Charming, romantic, realistic. They do end up, I'm going to slightly spoil this movie because I want to explain why it's great. They decide that it's important. Like, they're like, we should get married. It's hell to get married. It turns into a procedural. They go to City Hall. There's a million people trying to get married. They find out they have to get a blood test. They go to the place with the blood test. Turns out it takes 3 days. They try to get a rush on it. They spend all of their time together trying to go through the bad procedurals of getting married in New York City. And then they have like the worst wedding. And she cries in a diner while the weirdo eating peas stares at them the whole time. And I was like, that's when I was like, oh no, this movie is tipped into an all-timer. Like, they took this really romantic story and made it like, what is the real, like, they love each other, sure, but they had a really bad wedding ceremony. And this guy is staring at them while eating peas while they're crying about their wedding. Like, it's just not what you expect from a movie from 1945. And if you're looking for a date night movie, it's hard to find, but it's completely worth it because it's gonna charm your socks off. And it's also under 90 minutes. So
sounds like one for the Plex server. Thank you.
It is one for the Plex server. Highly recommend The Clock. It got my rare, watched it and I was like, yep, 5 stars on a heart on Letterboxd. No review, because that's how I roll. But I was just like, nope, this is great. Why is everyone not talking about The Clock? And I think my husband also gave it an extremely high rating. It's the rare both of us like, yep, great movie. The Clock. Now you've heard about it. Now you can't ignore the recommendation for 8 months to a year and then watch it and be like, wow, that was a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Laura, our 1940s film correspondent.
It's so good, folks. Do yourself a favor.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Short Game. Your hosts love you. We all love you. Thank you, listeners. But especially we love our patrons. You can find all the stuff about the show on shortgame.fm. That's our website. It's got all the links and buttons for things like our Patreon, how to find us on the various social platforms, how to find our YouTube channel. This show exists in a dual format. It is a podcast, but also it is video. So you can find that there. And let's see, you can find also a link to our Patreon. All of our patrons get access to our Discord community, which is where we talk about the show, we plan episodes, we talk about what's next. We also just talk about recommendations for games. This is a really great community if you like the kinds of games we like and want to talk about them with other people or just hear what people are playing. It's a great place to find that stuff. And I appreciate our squad there every day. I would not have played games like ENA Dream BBQ if we did not have a team of crack short game enjoyers helping us keep track of the world of short and interesting games. So thank you to all of those folks. I'm Raygan Kelly.
I'm Laura Nash.
And Shane Kelly.
And thank you once again for joining us on this episode of The Short Game.